I'll be starting with a quote today. The first rule of management is delegation. Don't try and do everything yourself because you can't. It's a quote by Anthea Turner. Hello everyone, my name is Kritika Saran from Grow Junction, and today our guest as a mentor is Mr. Vikas Pandey. So, Vikas, could you kindly give a brief about yourself to the audience?
Hi, Kritika. Very good morning. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me today. For our listeners, hi everyone. I'm Vikas. I'm currently working with McKinsey and Company as a manager. I've been with McKinsey for almost 5 years now, and previous to this, I've been with other firms like CS Associates and started my career with Hero Motocorp. By my educational background is in mechanical engineering, and over the course of my career, I've done a lot of things, and hopefully, I'll be speaking about some of that during this podcast.
We're definitely thrilled to learn about those experiences, and we're extremely delighted to have you with us. So,
Thanks, Kritika.
Because I went through your career choices in management, and from being a team captain to an assistant manager and now a manager at McKinsey. So how did you learn and how did you decide that management is your forte and you want to go for it?
Well, it's not that somebody would come to you and tell you that, hey, this is what you should do. I did not have any guru or any yogi telling me that, hey, this is probably what you should do. I think this is all a result of experimentation, and I did a lot of experiments while I was studying and while in my career as well. Back when I was an undergraduate student, I did a lot of experiments and tried to understand what is it that I am good at. I tried to explore a whole lot of different things: drama, poetry, a lot of technical stuff. As I said, I'm a mechanical engineer by background, so I did some very core mechanical things as well. Built a car, did a bunch of other projects, and also whenever I got opportunity to do something different, I never said no. And that probably helped me understand about myself. What is it that I am good at? I knew that I would do average at everything I do. That's I think common across a lot of people, that we have this caliber that you give us anything, especially engineers. You give us anything, we would do a good enough job there. But for me, the mission was to find out what is it that I would be good or very good at. And while being the captain of a team back in college, I realized that I have a knack for management, and I would do really good if I get into something where which is not very technical but more oriented on the management side. So that's how kind of it played out. That is what I've been following. I'm having said that, I'm not saying that I'm done with my experiments. Each day, I think I love to try out something new, and who knows, maybe a few years down the line I would start my own company, because at that moment it would feel right. So that's kind of my philosophy about it.
That's a good one, actually. That's a good one about experimenting with new things and taking risks. It's all about taking risks, and nothing is certain in career and in professional growth and in life as well. So there's nothing that comes to you certain, that, as you said, no yogi baba is there to tell you that you certainly have to do this and sab sahi chalega. It'll work smoothly, it'll work well. But it's about taking risks and and doing new experiments. However, I was
the one more thing that I would say here is that for a lot of young professionals, when they join a career path, the one thing that they have in mind, which I don't agree with, necessarily is that, let's say they have been they have been on a with a particular industry for, let's say, a couple of years, and they are not very happy with it, and they to I have talked to a lot of professionals, and they feel like that if at any point of time they are changing their career path, that's going to affect them adversely, which not necessarily is true, because any 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 young student out of college, they're probably like 21, 22, and they have a very long career ahead of them. So if you're 21, 22, you probably are expecting to be working till you're 60, right? So that's like 30, 40 years of work life. And if you're changing your career path after 2 years, in the long scheme of things, it doesn't really matter, right? And so that is why, if when you are starting your career, that is the very time when you should be trying out different things. If you're not happy with something, don't settle for it. Another way to put this would be, in your career, keep dating until you meet the one that you would want to marry.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, like, even though it is crucial, like as you mentioned, that keep experimenting and keep and settle for something that you're happy about and your content working in. But even though it actually comes with some, it's quite a big risk again, right? So not everyone's, since they're in their own comfort zone, not everyone's able to take that leap. So how would you if they want to do it, and how can they go about it? Like what are the initial steps that they could take to explore the other arena that they might be interested in?
I think the way to go about this is identifying what you're good at. It shouldn't be a random walk. So right now, if I'm doing like core manufacturing, the next day I shouldn't just go out and try marketing, or maybe try opening my own venture. That shouldn't that is not how it should be. It should be a very methodical approach where you are trying to learn about yourself. And when I said experimentation, it's more about understanding what you are good at, right? And not like understanding the different fields, right? So my recommendation would be, first try and understand what you are good at. If you have identified what you're good at, and then identify the industry or the kind of job that you would want to take up, I think sooner or later you'll be a success. But if you're just doing random work, that probably won't work out that well.
We usually think that we might not be suitable for the role. So do you think that, as you said, that what you are good at, so do you think if one is good at something, there will definitely be a career path for that, career growth in that section for them, and they will definitely land up in a job that is desiring for them as a candidate, and not they are desiring?
That is where I like, at McKinsey we have this term called "make your own McKinsey," and I feel, this is one thing I love about this firm, where you can, if you're good at something, if you want to work on something, think you can make things happen, right? But outside of McKinsey also, I feel like if you're really good at something, right, anywhere you would join, you'd shine. But if there are not good career opportunities there, you can always start something of your own, right? If you feel strongly about something. So I feel like it's really important for you to understand yourself, and make that the base of your decision, rather than like whether there would be good career options or not. The startup culture that we are seeing today in India is only because a lot of people have gone on that path, and they realize that they are good at something. There might not be there are certain problems that they are really passionate about, and there is no such organization which is working in that space. So that becomes an opportunity, right? If you think about it from that perspective, that is an opportunity. You're good at something, there are no opportunities there. why not create that opportunity? But I
Exactly.
understand that there are inherent risks to it, and that is why you should always take small steps towards a bigger goal. So for example, in my case, I also had this self doubt that, hey, my immature mind was like, hey, I've already spent like almost 2 years in manufacturing. Why would a consulting company take, right? And somebody suggested, no, you seem to be a good fit. Why not you just give interview, right? And there were like 30 people who got interviewed that day, and three got selected. I was one of them, and I couldn't believe it because I came from a core background, and I felt like that is my forte. But 2 years doesn't really make it your forte, right? So um, I think people out there are looking for skill sets, and if you have got the right skill sets, you would know how to go. You would know your ways around things. So just focus on yourself. Keep building yourself. Keep learning, and good things will happen.
Yeah. So it's also about taking risks, right? It's about
Hmm.
taking risks, taking small steps at a time. So
Hmm.
my go-to example is always a Rubik's cube.
Hmm.
So solving it collectively doesn't make any sense. It
Yeah.
would never ever set in the right place. However,
Hmm.
if you make the daisy, if you make the flower first, and then you go
Hmm.
about the colors, and then you go about the layers, so it definitely will be there. So you'll get a
Hmm.
solved Rubik's cube. So taking small steps and taking methodology. So taking steps in a very organized manner, structured manner as well, but at the same time thinking about, okay, let's go for it as well. So I think career is not what I think from this conversation is that career is not something that is very certain. You can take risks, as you said, that if you want to work 30 years down the line, you can't just stick with something that you're not happy with.
Hmm.
So it's about experimenting new days, and you also said that you are experimenting new days every new day, and God knows you also find something more interesting. And what if then you have to switch a career? Will you be able to do that?
I think at every point of time, there are certain constraints, and then there are certain like opportunities. There's With opportunities, there are certain constraints as well, right?
Yeah.
At this point of time, I need to make sure that the opportunity that I go for is actually providing for me, because I have a family to take care of. I have responsibilities, and I'm giving you this example because a lot of people have this in mind that there are things to take care of, right? So
Exactly.
that is why it should like it has to be a calculated decision, and not just like you woke up one day and
Yes.
you thought to start a firm of your own, and you call your colleagues and say like, hey guys, you're doing bullshit. This you should do more with your life. That's not how it
Yeah.
works. You have to be methodical about it. You have to understand what are your needs, what are your constraints that you're working around. Because, like, if your family is not happy and you're trying to do your own thing, that does also give you a peace of mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So also because you were a business analyst at a ZS Associate, so from being a manager, and then a business analyst, and then again a manager. So why was there this small change for 2 years? Maybe.
So ZS was not necessarily changed. I think the main change happened when I moved from Hero Motocorp to ZS Associates. That's when like I shifted my focus from core supply chain and like core mechanical engineering topics to consulting. From ZS to McKinsey, it has been like it's more of a function of career growth. As a business analyst, you might be responsible for just helping out your clients with one piece of analysis, churning out insights. And as you grow in your career, you become responsible for many more things, which is kind of what's happening right now. Your industry focus may be a bit different. I used to work with pharma clients at ZS. Now I work a lot with hospital systems across the world, manage a team. So that's that is the transition that happened. So not necessarily like a career change happened at that point, but more of it's more of a function of career growth there. The main change happened when I switched from like core mechanical engineering topics like supply chain, operations, manufacturing to consulting.
All right. Okay. Understood. Also, so what is your go-to approach when you're being interviewed? So
Mm-hmm.
you've given a lot of, I think you've given a lot of interviews, Hero
Mm-hmm.
Motocorp and then Z's Associate, and then so what is your go-to approach, and what are the few tricks that you follow when you're being
Mm-hmm.
interviewed?
Um, so there is no golden rule for every interview. For every interview, you have to tailor your approach a bit. Understand the way. First thing is understand what do they want, and try and ask yourself if you have got what they want, right?
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be like that. I have got a lucrative job opportunity that's into marketing, but I don't know the ABC of marketing. But I'll cook something up and do good at the interview because I'm good at communication. I'm good at speaking. I can take it for a day. Shouldn't be that approach. You should only go for opportunities where you feel you can add value. You'd be a good fit for the team, and if that is the case, um, a lot of it, like a lot of the problem gets solved. So, I'll give you my example. When I joined Hero Motocorp or when I joined these consulting companies, these two, like I had a background in mechanical engineering. I had done a lot of projects which were core mechanical projects. It revolved around design, it revolved around manufacturing, and that is what they wanted. So when I was being interviewed, it was work for me because I had already done a lot of things, and I was a candidate that they were looking for.
Yeah.
Similarly, uh, when I interviewed for consulting, they did ask me like, why are you trying to change your career path? And I said that, hey, I have tried this, and I realized that I'm more of a problem solver, which they tested. Once they gave me like 3 4 case studies, and I passed all of them. So I was telling them things that they had already tested, and I was being honest that, hey, this is a career change for me, but still I want to do it because I realize that this is one of my strengths. So long story short, if you come from a position of strength, right? If you come from this perspective where you are being honest about, what your career goals are, why are you taking a decision at any point of time, and your skill sets match their requirement, I think interviews are not that tough at all. Organizations are always looking for great people, and if you happen to be that right fit at that point of time, it's going to be easy. But if you take out this element of authenticity, if you take out this element of, some of this person who's genuine, right? If you take out this element of the right fit, then probably it's not going to be that easy.
Yeah. Yeah. And how was your how did you work with case studies? Case studies are quite an integral part in an interview process.
Yeah, I was going to come to that. It was a new thing for me as well, and I did listen to a lot of stuff online. I watched a lot of videos on YouTube. Case in point was a good reference to understand what actually happens. You go to the websites of these companies, and they have like elaborate content on what do they expect, right? So you can always figure out what a good interview means from their perspective. So if you go to McKinsey site, you'd see a lot of content around, how how are McKinsey interviews scheduled,
Yeah,
um, how are they structured. You'd get to know what they are looking for, and then you should try and prepare yourself for that. But having said that, it should all be authentic. It should not be like, if you're asked of a situation, you cook a situation. It shouldn't be that case. Um, Authenticity is the key, and then you should try to match your skill set to the job requirement.
absolutely. Lying about yourself and your resume is something that should not be done, because I think interviewers are really smart and
Mm-hmm.
they can catch it. I,
Yeah,
if I'm using the right word. So I think they can actually interpret that, if if you're lying on your resume, if you're lying about yourself or not. And that also definitely reflects, if one is lying about it, and if one is not being authentic about their skill set. So I think that definitely reflects in an interview itself. So it is not an easy job to to lie.
yeah,
So yeah, so I think one has to be authentic. It is very integral. And there are so many tips, and there are so many videos that if you should lie on your resume or not. But however, I think this is very much uh, understandable, and this is very much based on moral as well, that you shouldn't lie about yourself, because in one way or the other it will be visible to the interviewer.
yeah. And your life, once you, even if you made it through the interview, your life after joining the firm is not going to be good, right? So uh,
Absolutely.
it's more a service to yourself than to the company that you're joining, that
Yeah.
you should be out.
And what if they tell you to, even if you're hired, what if they tell you to do some XYZ work, and then you research about it, but you actually do X and W and then Z. So doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense, right? If they're asking for something, then they should be given that different work. So lying is a big no-no. It has always been. So, Vikas, what were the challenges that you faced, and the key learnings from those challenges?
Challenges with,
Throughout,
like,
obviously, or throughout your career, if you since you made this drastic shift from
Mhm,
from being into core technical aspect, and then just changing into a proper managerial aspect, which is like,
mhm,
uh, the management is something abstract, right?
mhm.
And technical is something that you can actually feel like you're doing it. So this shift was a gradual, and it could have been hard for you. So was it
Yeah.
hard for you, and was it challenging for you, and what were your key
Uh,
learnings?
I think, um, given I made that switch quite early, I had my it was there wasn't there was nothing that was, beat my work style, beat my expertise. That was not something set in concrete, right? And I was just maybe like a couple of years into my career, and then that is the point when I switched. So it wasn't very difficult for me. I think the key part was just uh, trying to switch my mindset from, you know being somebody who was part of a company which, so let me put it this way: being somebody who was part of a company which was making products, and I had a lot of vendors that I had to manage, to being somebody who has to work for a client, right? So working for a client is very different. On one side, I used to be the client, and here I had to serve clients. So that I had to make that shift, and that was a bit of a challenge, just to ensure that I'm doing the right thing. Other than that, I think it was more a question of how quickly can I learn the skill sets that's
Yeah.
required here.
Yes.
And if you are really interested about a topic, it shouldn't be like, it should give you energy. It should give you energy to learn new topics within that field, and that is what I would say was the case with me. I was very interested into analytics, understanding different tools and tricks that would help me. And few months where I had a very steep learning curve, and it continued later as well. But I think the from a challenge standpoint, I think that was kind of the major challenge, shifting my mindset from like being the client to start serving clients.
One has to be flexible when it comes to
Yeah.
changing your, if you're changing your career, and for everything one has to be flexible and not rigid, that if you learned something here, and that might not be the case with the other company, so you
Mhm.
literally have to shift the learnings and maybe unlearn and relearn some things. So uh, like accepting the change and accepting the shift is very integral. It's quite crucial as well. So flexibility again.
Exactly.
So like, what are the key skills, the relevant skills to expertise, like in a management role, if they need an
Um, where you have to be specific about like when you say management, is it like you'd find management roles everywhere? However, the kind of skill set that you'd need while in a managerial role in consulting is very different from what you should have in manufacturing, right?
yeah.
So I can talk a bit about like a consulting role. I think if you have to manage teams as a team of consultants, I think the key skill sets that you need to have is number one, problem solving. You should be really good at problem solving. You should be structured, and every day there might be new problems to solve, and you should like your mind should really be programmed that way that you should do those problem solving quick and in a very structured manner. Communication is the other key skill set to have, because you would be managing a lot of stakeholders, and you need to make sure that you're communicating every relevant information to the right group of stakeholders.
Yeah.
Uh, then you also need to be a good team player, because these are the projects that we work on are really high stakes, and you need to make sure that the stakeholders are happy. You need to make sure that your team is happy. You need to make sure that the developmental goals of your team is met. And then above all, you should really be focusing on the areas that you are an expert of. Um, you should really be focusing on areas that you like working on, because otherwise it becomes tough for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think finding out as you grow senior, finding out that the area that you want to focus on is is key. And then from a like good from a good being a good manager standpoint, I think you need to be really good at problem solving. You need to be good communicator, and then you need to be a good team player.
Yeah. Understood. Understood. So, coming to the last question, it's my favorite one. What are the quick takeaways for the listeners, and
Mhm.
any quick tips, tricks for the viewers, for the audience?
I think I would rephrase what I said earlier, and given this is especially for career for people who are just starting their career, I think the tip would be just keep experimenting, try and understand yourself, understand what you're good at, and I try and identify opportunities that match the skill sets that you're really good at. So I think that probably would be the mantra for a lifetime of happy career.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
And don't try to be in a toxic relationship.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Don't be in a toxic relationship
Try to
with
be in a fulfilling relationship. Keep dating unless you find the career that you want to marry.
exactly. So it was really nice talking to you because I had a really good time, and I hope you had a good time as well. And
Yeah,
I
it was a pleasure being here, Kritika, and thank you for having me. And I wish you all the best for your future podcast.
thank
Hope
you,
this was
thank you so
helpful.
much. Thank you. Yes, it was extremely helpful, and these mantras of keep experimenting, taking risk, and working on a skill set is is something that yes we will definitely focus on, and hope our viewers also have the help and the privilege to listen to this podcast at the same time. Um, so that's it from my side, and thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Have a great Monday.
Thank you. Same to you. Bye bye.
Bye.